So my name is William of the House Martin. I am the first of my name. I'm the ruler of the 25 realms that HMS has domestically, provider of employee experiences, destroyer of waste, and keeper of the occupancy coin, but you can call me Will. So it's been a great conference, and Kevin, thank you for having me here. A lot of those things I've heard already yesterday. It was a little smaller group yesterday, but so many people are saying the same things, and even Don earlier, a lot of things I heard him talking about. We're a much smaller company, obviously, but experiencing a lot of the same issues and trying to solve the same problems. So I tried to come up with a catchy title. A collaboration story, it's a word we use quite often, collaboration. But we really at HMS, let's see if I know how to use this. So I'll do an overview of HMS for those of you that I had lunch with or sat with. You asked me what HMS does, and truthfully for me, it's a little hard to explain because it's not what I do, it's what the business does. I provide the space. But so I'll do a quick overview, and then a real fun story of some transformation we went through on the cultural business side, and then talk about the transformation that I've taken the organization through on the facility side, because I started with HMS in 2012. So let me, the easiest way for me to tell you what HMS does is to play a video that somebody smarter than me made. That will hopefully...
When we started HMS in 1974, healthcare cost containment wasn't a thing. We created it. We created it to help public safety net hospitals survive. Just as we created Medicaid COB when we saw that the program was spending billions of dollars that it shouldn't. Billions of dollars that could be used to help heal those in need and cover more lives. Dollars that could make real differences in real people's lives. Since the beginning, we have been continuously, obsessively, and enthusiastically reinventing and growing our solutions to make them more powerful, easier to use, and faster to implement. Today, we are so much more than a cost containment company. We are a healthcare technology company that leverages the most advanced tools available, from artificial intelligence and machine learning to blockchain and big data analytics. Our solutions drive intelligence, engagement, and healthy outcomes. Over the years, our team has grown from a handful to over 2,500 passionate, knowledgeable, and dedicated healthcare professionals. Our people, like our solutions, don't sit still. They evolve and grow with the ever-changing healthcare landscape, so you can relax in the knowledge that nobody else could be helping you help your members more. We're driven to build these things because we want a healthier America, and we truly believe that every person should have access to affordable, high-quality healthcare. Today, HMS helps health plans, providers, employers, and government agencies run their operations at peak efficiency so that they can continue their incredible and vital work, improving the health of more Americans. We create solutions at the speed of today because making people feel good makes us feel good. HMS, moving healthcare forward.
Pretty cool. I think if you think of Rachel's talk earlier, that's something that I certainly connect with, and a lot of our employees connect with. That's a cool, big vision. And as a company, we've been pursuing that vision since 1974. A lot of growth. It is a publicly traded company on the NASDAQ. So here's the words. HMS delivers healthcare technology, analytics, and engagement solutions to reduce costs, improve health outcomes, and enhance member experiences. So for those who sat at lunch, I said it exactly like that, right? Because I have a hard time explaining what we do. But so we have a couple of different businesses. On the commercial side, it's large insurance carriers, so it's the 325 plus health plans. We have our state government side, so we're in 40 plus state Medicaid programs. If you're a large employer that's self-insured, come talk to me because we've got 125 employers that we work with. So those people that are being self-insured. And then a part of our business with the federal government, with CMS, which is the Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services. I'm not sure why there's only one M, but that's what it is, and the VA. Our headquarters is in Irving, Texas, and as I said, we have 2,500 employees. On the real estate side, so obviously why I said the 25 realms of HMS, we have the one owned facility and 24 leases, equating to just under 500,000 square feet, so not a big portfolio, but we're actually in 21 different states. So from California to Massachusetts, we're in a lot of states. And when I first started, we were in more because just about every place that we had an account, we had an office. So we cleaned that up a bit. And the headquarters building is 10 floors and 250,000 square feet. So it's about half of our portfolio. So the company transformation. HMS, 1974, they said, very entrepreneurial. And when I started in 2012, it was very entrepreneurial. It was really amazing what I could get done. We didn't have POs. I mean, it was very, very basic, and it was just go get things done. And that was working great, and we were doing great service for our clients. But one of the things that happened is we weren't being very consistent in, they call it ink to green, right? We would sign contracts and start estimating the revenue coming in, that the revenue would be 6 months later. Well, the NASDAQ doesn't like that, right? They want you to know when your revenue is going to come. So we had some problems. I think the stock price was at somewhat of a high in 2012 when I started, and it kind of went down from there because even though we were doing good things, our performance didn't look good. And so we knew it was necessary to add some process and infrastructure, but at the same time, we didn't want to become a bureaucracy that couldn't get anything done, so we wanted to keep some of that entrepreneurial spirit. So they reached out to a guy by the name of John Cotter. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's written a few books. And Accelerate is, I think, the book that most of this is based on. And while I'll try to explain this to you, I'm more of a participant than a coach, but I can just tell you it's worked really well. So it revolves around 8 steps around the big opportunity. And essentially, the big opportunity is it's that stuff that's left out there that we could get to if we could have time, or if people could be more efficient in what they do and more productive. And so it's the more that we're trying to reach to. That's defined by our executives, and so they got together and had several meetings to discuss what the big opportunity was. And then they followed these 8 steps, and we've actually done it for several years since 2015. They create the sense of urgency, build a guiding coalition. So that's a cross-functional group of people that commit to being on this team for a year and work on initiatives that the executive actually pitched to the guiding coalition to say, this is what we want to focus on. They pitch more than actually are done. And then people on the guiding coalition can volunteer to be on different initiatives. I'm actually on the current guiding coalition 3.0 right now, and I'm working on a Work Smart initiative. So we're trying to find things. I think somebody yesterday was talking about experiences. We're trying to focus in on that experience level. What experience are people having? And meetings is one of the ones that we're trying to fix. So you form strategic vision and initiatives, enlist a volunteer army. That's a really, really important part. And this is a big engagement issue, and I'll show you a slide here in a minute. But the volunteer army is reaching out to people and saying, hey, what skills do you have? Not what's your job function or what's your core role in the company. What skills do you have? And they're looking for things like, hey, if you're good at Excel, or you love going through data, or you can make a website, or if you like to take pictures or make videos or anything that's, whether it's in your role or not, we want to know and want you to sign up for this volunteer army. And so we've done that. The other really cool one is enable action by removing barriers. Part of this is the executives are committed to supporting this. So when these teams come together, they actually have an executive ask. So they'll go to the executives. And the really funny thing is in the first guided coalition, some of the feedback from the executives is you guys aren't asking for enough, right? You would think that we would jump at the chance, but it didn't necessarily happen. The other one, and I think this came up in some of the other talks too, is generating short-term wins and communicating those. And there's been a lot of that, and those short-term wins and the communication, particularly through videos. And another team on the current guiding coalition is collecting stories. I think it was Rachel that was talking about it, that we're actually collecting employee videos, and we're just telling people you can take it on your own video, we can set up a photo shoot video if you want, whatever you're comfortable with, but we want your story because it's that process of engaging people. So it's been a really cool process. We've been doing it for a couple of years. We're actually in the process now of trying to stop paying the consultants and actually create a sustaining organization within our company. Now, there's 4 main principles that this works on, and the idea is you have the sustaining organization. This sustaining organization is not bad. It's just the organization that gets the day-to-day stuff done. So you've got these concepts of few versus many, have to versus want to, the head versus the heart, management versus leadership. So I think we all get those concepts. When we put the many with the want to, with the heart and the passion and leadership, it's amazing the stuff that we've been able to accomplish. One of the first wins out of the first guiding coalition, and a lot of these are business processes, right? So they looked at a process that, organization or Department A needed something from Department B, and it was a week-long process. And they sat down and they kind of mapped it out and they looked at it, and they said, oh, we solved it in 30 minutes. Right, like it's now a 30-minute process. And my response is it was always a 30-minute process. It just took a week to get to the right person to actually do it. So those type of things are wins that get people excited and keep them going. So we have 1,438 volunteers and counting. That is one of the other teams for the Guiding Coalition is this urgency team, keeping this in front of us, keeping it going, keeping momentum. And their goal was 60%. I believe they've already shot past it and they're headed towards 70%. And then 73% of people that put their name on this list, this volunteer army list, are actively engaged. So, it's fairly amazing what's happening because if you think about it, any company would love to have their employees that engaged. And we've been able to do it through this process. And then one of the other things on the other side, they have results accelerators, and those are really fun because those are 90-day windows. So those are a short time to take on a big goal, an almost impossible but accomplishable task. And one of the fun things we learned was fail fast. Like sometimes we have these ideas and we think, I was on a cost savings one. And I don't know anybody else out here in the facility awards experience, but any company that I've been in, the minute they say cost savings, they look at facilities. Like people just assume that there's some that we're all, I don't know, not doing anything, and like there's got to be a better way to do facilities. And so I actually made sure to get on that team almost from a self-defense posture. And sure enough, people were bringing up stuff that really I was already doing. And which actually it worked out good. Normally it's kind of annoying, but in this case, it was good because everything they came up with, which we could do to save money, we were already doing. And so that was good. But there's a lot of other ones, and a lot of those are the 30-minute story I told you. It's really changing our business, and it's delivering business results. So there's just some fun pictures of our volunteer army. And some of the stuff is, like, how often do we get balloons and, they printed up that sign and because they're just trying to generate some excitement about being a volunteer. And so we're trying to take more pictures and just continue that energy. Now, one of my favorite pictures is the middle one. That's actually our headquarters building. And I have to always tell everybody, no, we were never a hotel. Somebody started that rumor, and then I go into meetings and people tell me that we were a hotel. We were never a hotel, but it looks like it in that middle one. But my favorite thing is we figured out, part of our issue is where do we have large space to have big meetings, because not a lot of companies have that. So we use our first floor, we found a stage, we figured out how to set up the sound, but I call that the Thunderdome, right? It's just everyone comes around, it's just a really fun way to do corporate announcements and that sort of stuff, and it's really just using the space we had. And you can see on the map, the other fun thing, and this came up in one of the questions with Rachel, is how do you keep your remote employees engaged? Well, if you look at our map over there, which I know is really, really hard to see, but essentially if it was blown up, you would see there's people all over the country that are volunteers and leading initiatives. And so it's been a big deal for them because they, out of sight, out of mind type of thing, and now they're they're right in the middle of it when using video. But here's the important part, right? All that other stuff is fun and it sounds good and matches with all the theories and surveys and everything else, but the left side is employee engagement and the right side is our stock price. And you can see in 2013, remember I told you I started in 2012, and we were very, I'll get into more of this on the facility side, but we were very manual in what we did across the board. And so we really started measuring employee engagement in 2013. You can see an initial bump because anything, I'm a big believer if you measure it, it's going to have an impact on how people act, right? So managers and supervisors and directors started to, focus on engagement a little more because now we're measuring it. So we saw a bump and we kind of leveled off in 2015, and then you can just see it go up into the right? So our engagement now has been off the charts ever since we started this process because the core of this process is not top down. They set the vision and give direction and literally set these teams loose. And these teams aren't all managers and directors. I mean, there's admins leading some of these teams. And so it's giving people who don't normally get to lead a chance to lead. And the engagement's off the charts. And of course, for the rest of us, you can see the stock is off the charts too. So going from under 50 to over 30 is nice, particularly when you have options that were issued back in 2015. So very exciting, and it's got the executives of the company engaged, and clearly, the CFO says, hey, this touchy-feely stuff's great, but what about results? But clearly, we put those on the same chart. It's not a direct linkage, but it's also not a coincidence that our more engaged employees, this process we're using, this tearing down barriers and getting stuff done, is making a difference. So, now on the facility side. You heard the bio. I've been doing facility management for over 20 years. Really, in this job, I picked up the real estate, which was new to me, so I had to get some training before that. But the facilities I could do like the back of my hand. I mean, I've been there, done that, and would love to share more stories, right? But I got to HMS, and actually, when I came to interview, I realized this is going to be a great place for me because they seriously had no processes. In fact, when I started, the guy who hired me, he had a consultant come in for various functions. And he was trying to do some stuff with accounts payable, was trying to do some stuff with procurement, and actually get a PO process in place. And then he threw facilities in that as well. And so when I started, he hands me this report and he says, hey, I kind of did your job for you. Just give me a 5-year plan of how you're going to get this stuff done. I thought, oh, well, that's even easier, right? Well, I read the report, and there's nothing in it. It's completely just, gibberish. And I said, I mean, it was stuff, but it was nothing that said, here you are, HMS, and here's what you can do. And it was all just industry mumbo jumbo. So I go back to my manager and I said, there's really nothing in here. He goes, no, the guy came in and he came on site and he interviewed people. And I said, all right, but he didn't have any data because there's nothing in this report. Oh, yeah, there was. I'll have him come in. I said, all right, I'd love to meet him. So this young, I don't remember, McKinsey, I think, was the consulting firm. And this young guy sits across from me, and I said, what data was this report based on? And he looks at me and he goes, man, there was no data. I had to come up with a report, and I didn't have anything to work on, so that's what you got. I'm like, all right, well, clearly, even my manager didn't realize just the lack of information we had. So very decentralized, very manual processes. Like the floor plan, they would photocopy so that there was a legend for colors, and they would highlight it, and so keeping track of occupancy. And it's a 1,200 person building, and I think when I first started, because we had a call center, we had 1,600 seats. So that's a lot of stuff to track. We had 42 leases when I started. I don't think anybody knew that because this person had 3 leases and that person had 6 leases, and we didn't pay the rent correctly for the first 3 years I was there. By that I mean we were paying rent, but if we had a 13th month free, we missed it. We'd get a note, hey, you had a free month. If rent changes, they bump every year. We missed every single one of those. Because nobody really process. And very, very reactive. The team, the one impressive thing about the team that I inherited is they could get stuff done. They could get things done, but they couldn't tell you what they got done. It was sort of get through the day, wipe your brow and go back after it tomorrow. So it was truly amazing to me what I saw. And I have a military background, so I really looked at it and said, this is like a target-rich environment, right? Just about anything I do is going to improve things. But I started with the team because we have had all those sites, and like the West Coast, I started calling them the Wild Wild West because they didn't want to hear from corporate, and that was because my predecessor would open up a site, but if you didn't get his name and email address, you had no way of contacting him or getting help if you needed something. I had business leaders renegotiating leases, just all kinds of stuff going on because there was no process. So we centralized that. And thankfully I had a guy on the West Coast in Vegas and a guy in New York. And so we did kind of the East-West split and started getting them out to the sites to get to know people. And so doing a lot of that. And the other piece is we had no data, we had no systems. So my office is here. I had actually used them on a previous account. And so when I came here and we had nothing, I immediately called them and I said, man, you got to get me something in here quick. And they've been a great partner and have really turned around our ability to deliver service, because now we have those drawings in the system. We have at least where we assign people, not that they sit where we have assigned them, but we at least know how many people we've assigned and how many seats and those types of things, and a work order system. And truthfully, we've got some more things we can do with that system. And then we also did a lease administration system. And some of this I'm telling you because I was having lunch with Dawn, and I'm like, I had worked for Procter & Gamble. When we got outsourced, like 600 of us got sent to Jones Lang LaSalle. That's a lot of people doing global real estate. I mean, that organization had processes and had thought through it 1,000 different times and perfected it. There's other people out there like HMS who just had space, and some guy that would go get the space, but no processes, I was at first intimidated to come and try to share it, like, who cares about HMS, we're not that big of a company. But I think there's a lot more companies out there in this space that need a vision for their real estate and need to be able to go from real estate being a commodity to the experiences that we've been talking about here today. So I did the central regional model, pulled the systems together so we're paying our leases. And even after I had a lease administrator, it still took the first one left, and then I got a second one in there. And about 6 months later, finally, I think we did it where we paid the correct rent. So, for one, if anybody's in that realm or we worked in that realm, there's a lot of details and a lot of things that can change. So it's understandable, but it's just the fact that it went so long without being done correctly. The other thing I struggled with was being present and future focused, is what I call it. So every time we did things reactively, my team would come and say, well, can we just do this? And I always had this, but what does that set us up for next time? Or how am I going to reuse that space the next time the issue comes around? So it was almost a battle within my team, but I tried to bring that vision, because it was really my leadership and vision with my experience coming in saying, hey guys, we're going to do this differently. And with our systems and with looking at things, we started to implement more database decision making and training. I think I met Kevin at Cornet, but I started going to Cornet and IFMA, and I got my team engaged in IFMA because I think these organizations are really important to keep the conversation going. And part of me sometimes just thinks that misery loves company, and I do like to hear that other people have the same problems I do, so I'm not the only one. So that was the organizational side, and then I had the building and space side. Now, we had a very kind of standard design, and the other piece is our headquarters was New York. So when HMS, previous to me, first moved to our headquarters building, we were a tenant, and they bought the building in 2010 and had subtenants. And when I came on, the last subtenant left probably 9 months after I was on board. So I had a few subtenants, and we finally got all of them out. But this is our standard design, and sometimes you just look at the top look at the floor plan and think, oh, no big deal. But then I took a couple of pictures, and it's these high walls that create these hallways. You can see in the picture on the left, hopefully you can see it, the mini blinds. I absolutely hate, loathe, and despise metal mini blinds, because that's what happens. See, that's actually windows in that picture on the left that you can't even see because the mini blinds are closed. So it almost depresses me to walk through that space. I'm just like, God, we could do so much better. But we have a lot of that kind of space in our building. And you can't really tell in the design, but there's we have these separate manager cubes, and they have this sliding door. We affectionately call them the shower doors. I seriously don't like those because they're 8x8s, and most of our standard cubicles are 6x6. So I can't put them next to each other very well because then they don't match up. So really kind of painful, but that's what we've got on a lot of our floors. And the really sad thing for me is this floor was built after I started, but it was right when I first started, so I didn't have a new vision, I didn't have the idea of what we're going to do, so we just built the same thing. And now every time I look at it, I'm like, God, if I could have just got in there before we spent all that money on this old furniture. And I don't know if there's many furniture people in here, but this is Steelcase Kick. And I went to Neocon a couple of years ago, and some young Steelcase guy was like, really? You have Steelcase Kick? Can I come see it? Like it was a dinosaur, right? So, it really is a dinosaur. So, little prettier pictures. So as the subtenants were leaving on our second floor, I started to try to inject some new space. And one of the problems we had was we only had 2 conference rooms in the whole building that could handle more than 16 people. And several people were wanting to have town halls and that sort of thing. So we built this room on the left, and the break spaces on the other side of the wall, just adding color, put a little nicer finishes in it, and the room actually splits right on the central column there. It was set up nicely for this, so you can see the whole thing. But what's interesting, and I found this in a lot of the things I've done, is this really came out of my observation. Nobody came and asked me to build this, but they were asking me questions like, hey, I got this big meeting, can I use the foyer? Where do I do this? How do I do that? And so I went to my manager and said, hey, I think we need to build like a conference center type thing. It's truly not a conference center, it is one big room, and you can make it into 2. And they actually kind of fought me on, like, we don't need that. Like, how often is that going to get used? Well, fast forward to this initiative, the TBO, what we call the Big Opportunity. That thing is used like all the time now. We do a lot of brainstorming in there, and the wall that separates the rooms is all whiteboard. Kind of to Don's point, we love whiteboards, so we put those in there. So this is one of the first things I did, and it's received very well. And now basically people fight over it because there's just all kinds of events we want to have in there. So the second thing we did, and by the way, one of the things I'm not very good at is taking pictures. So I don't have a lot of before pictures of this, which is sort of frustrating now because it would really be a drastic change. But when you came into this building, so if you look at the picture on the right, the desk, the planters, that gray wall, and that light were not there. It was that brown wood on the end. Was kind of, and you literally walked in, and it's like walking in any multi-tenant building, and you kind of look around like, where do I go? Right? So the big issue that we had, and again, this was all indirect feedback. Nobody came to me and said, hey, well, can you build a desk and do this? But I don't connect with the building. I just kind of come in, and it could be anybody's building. People have security concerns because there's no guards. So we got badge access, but we all know when you can piggyback. So this was one of the other big projects, was to get our brand, right? If you walked in our front door, there'd be no doubt you were in HMS, and there's no doubt the mean-looking guy with the bald head there is who you're going to talk to before you walk in our house. And trust me, he'll chase you down because he's done it to some people. He's a great guy, but he uses that intimidating look to his advantage. And then the other piece you can see on the one over here with the lady's face, it's kind of blurred out because if you saw in the video, moving healthcare forward is our tagline, and the one on that one says enterprise healthcare. So that's changed since we put that up, but bringing our brand into the space was a big deal. And really, preceded the stuff we were doing, but has had a big impact on people. And then these were actually things that were actually asked for. So one of the new executives came and said, you know, the operation, the CEO was like, I need to keep my people on site. So we need a good deli and we need a fitness center. So we were able to put those in. You probably can't see it there, but it's called Fit Club. So we actually did a naming thing and sort of off of Fight Club, and if you can see, there's a heavy bag there. So we sort of kept that thing going. But the really cool thing about this is actually more of a wellness initiative. You know, when people ask for that, they're thinking, hey, you swipe in, swipe out, hotel gym kind of thing. And I'm like, no, that's not really going to add a lot of value. So we actually have a very low monthly rate that's payroll deducted. It's like $6 a paycheck. And honestly, that was recommended based on the Lifestart is a company we use out of Chicago. And they recommended you charge a nominal amount, because if you don't charge anything, everyone will join and know they use it. And I think somebody from Toyota was here. I went to Toyota, and they have a nice gym that they built there, and it's free. And I asked them, and they said everyone joined, and maybe 10% of the people use it. Well, I think we got 40% of the people joined, but 50% of the people that join are active users up to 8 times a month. So we've got a nominal fee to it. We got personal training. It's like $15 a session. You're not going to find that anywhere. Lots of classes, lots of activities, and it's really made a difference. And you know, the other cool thing about their mission is their gym managers, so since it's outsourced, are actual nutritionists as well. So they're helping people with dietary plans, which ties over to Cafe 74. And 74 was the year we were founded. It was another naming thing we did. It was sort of a nice little thing we did there. So the Cafe 74 actually has Fit Club approved meals because we've tied those together. And you know, we talk about feedback and measures, and on these two, some of the best feedback I got was a guy walked up to me. He was all excited, just talking about what a big impact it was having on him and on his team. I mean, there's literally teams that kind of as a team building, they're you know, working out or training together and doing that sort of stuff. So it's really exciting for us because, you know, we consider ourselves, you know, part of the healthcare, part of a wellness company, and so this was a great initiative for us. And then the last one, I'm going to go to the picture first. But the last one is really the change that's trying to drive how we look at space. I had an old space that was call center space. And thankfully they moved it out of my building. Because when I first got there, it was there, and I was doing everything I could to find a lease somewhere else in the city because I did not want them in my building. But I pulled that space out, so it's about 6,000 square feet, and this was one of those, let's start with a small space. And this project was very interesting because, I'll go back to the drawing so you can see, the far left one is what it looked like with call center space. And I don't know what's up with the color, but that's the way the CAD was, and I wasn't going to make my CAD deck. It wasn't much work to change it. But at the top, that's a conference room and an office on the window on the corner. So those are kind of blocking the window. You know, you got file cabinets everywhere, and then just rows and rows of desks. And so that space had become mostly empty. And so I went to the executives and I said, look, we keep using this term collaboration. I don't know that any of us would define it the same. So I want to transform this space into collaborative space. And literally that's all I told them. I didn't tell them what I was going to do. I didn't tell them how I was going to do it. I didn't tell them what I was going to put in there. I said, just let me transform it into collaborative space. And they did, which was fairly amazing. But then I went to my own team and to the architects and said, okay, here's what I'm trying to do. And it was amazing how much I was fighting against old mindsets. And like I said, look, I want to rip out every wall that I can rip out. And all I want to do, and I'm actually working with Veritas on this project, all I want to do is everything needs to be movable. If I put up a wall, they've got glass walls that you can move around. They don't go all the way to the ceiling, so it's got people freaked out about living in an office like that. And so this was the original layout you see there in the middle one. But that was a capital project to go from all that built space. Because in my experience, a cubicle, I might as well have built a wall. because all the power and data running through it, and particularly with that Steelcase kit, my team, they joke with me. I said, hey, can you move this stuff? They said, well, we can take it apart. We just can't get it back together. There's so many parts and pieces and tools needed. So that was a capital project to go from A to B. And actually, the middle design was just an idea. You just got some seating, you got some standing height tables, that bottom wall is a whiteboard wall. We just threw stuff together. And then just observed how people use it. We put some groups in there, had them fill out some surveys on the back end, and realized pretty quickly, kind of back to that fail fast, there were some parts of it that didn't work. One of my favorites is right by the capital project here, there's just a table with 5 chairs. That is it's one of the various standing height tables. I love the standing height, just for my own preference, but it's up against the wall, there's a monitor right there. Now, where the arrow is the door coming in, and on the other side is the hallway. So in my mind, nobody's going to use that table, right? I think somebody had a picture with 2 meeting rooms and then a table in the middle and a table in the moved. I thought that was going to be this table, but we put it there anyway just to see. That's the table that always gets used. I have no idea why, but it always gets used. And so that's part of what I learned was I had expectations when I did this. I had thoughts of how people were going to use it, but truthfully, I took the if you build it, they will come type thing. And we had that. Now I would tell you the TPO has really advanced usage of this space because now all of a sudden all these new teams are wanting to meet, and as we all know, meeting rooms get booked up, so they had no place to meet. So the 5th floor has become, because our 5th floor has become the place that we meet. But the way this is designed, like those L-shaped desks at the top, we very quickly got rid of those because it didn't have the model that we wanted. We realized that that corner was being used kind of separately from the other spaces, so we put up a couple of temporary walls, and that's the picture of that corner now. We branded the column just to make it fun, and the colors are bright, right? I mean, orange is our company color, actually coral, but it's pretty much orange. And all those things we did is different lighting. I have shades instead of the blinds, and it's phenomenal the difference that one little space has made. And we're already on version 2 of it, but as luck would have it, that call center that went away, they had an issue with whoever was doing it or whatever system they were going to use instead, so now we need to put a call center back in. So I'm going to be able to go from the space that we had designed collaboratively to, if you see at the top there, just put a bunch more desks in there and reestablish a call center, and I can really do that just with furniture. I don't have to spend a bunch of money on HVAC. I'm not building a bunch of walls or tearing down walls or building up cubicles. Everything just moves, and that's very exciting. And it's really had a big impact on how people look at our space, right? So you go back, I'm going to flip through to that space, right? So I should probably have it better on the same slide, but that's what's kind of throughout the building, and then. So I'm finding more and more people are going out of that space, right? And personally, if those are my choices, I've actually kind of reconfigured our facility options so they're a little bit nicer. But if I was in those other spaces, I'd probably spend a lot of time on the 5th floor too. So this has created a lot of buzz. It's a usable space for a lot of different things. And although that freaked people out at the beginning, now they're using it more and more. And now I'm getting the questions of, hey, when can we do this? When can we do this in my space? So it's been very, very good. In fact, we've now started incorporating field offices, and so it's exciting. So what I've learned through this process is it is important to be present and future focused. Sometimes I tend to always want to look out to the future. We do have to deliver service today. I still have to make that nasty furniture that I don't like work because I've got a whole lot of it in the building still. So meeting today's needs while anticipating future needs. Listening to the customer. This is an interesting one because, again, I listened to a lot of indirect feedback. So I took feedback and observation to decide and drive the direction we went. Because there's a quote that's attributed to Henry Ford that if I'd asked people what they wanted, they would ask for faster horses. Of course, I looked it up, and it's questionable whether it was him, but it's still a good point of sometimes people can only tell you what they know. They can't necessarily explain to you what they need or how to get there. They can just tell you they want to go faster. So it's up to us to come up with a car. But then there's also that aspect of the customer's always right? So that's kind of a spectrum for me between those two. So I think I always try to change the subject of don't tell me what you need, don't necessarily tell me how to do it. I'll figure out how to deliver that with a space solution. And as we've had these successes and we're delivering more of the space, we're starting to get to that point. But it's direct and indirect feedback, right? The fitness center and the deli, that was a pretty direct ask. Hey, can we do something like this in our building? Of course, they asked me if I could do a daycare too, and I just said, no, we can't do that. Really, because we don't have space, not because I don't have kids. But it's taking advantage of opportunities, but there's a combination of both of those. And then the third one is something that's really been in my mind, and as I heard the co-working discussion that was just had, I really just have this passion that we need to design space to meet the needs of the business rather than designing that space and then just telling people to figure out how to fit in it. Because that's what we do today, right? It's like, hey, I'm moving into the 6th floor. They're like, I need 5 manager cubes. Well, I only got 4, so you're going to have to figure out who doesn't get one. Right? I mean, it's that type of thing, and it doesn't feel good, but it's a conversation we have a lot. So I really want to get to this space like this where I can change it to whatever I need to, and I can use those movable walls to be able to, I can take this and make it into 2 spaces, I can make it into 4. Somebody might say, hey, we want casual seating. And that's what I want to be able to do. I want to be able to partner with the business and give them the space that's going to engage their employees and keep them successful. And at least in my vision, it's right now, at least I'm pretty partnered with Veritas. So it's furniture that, and if you've never used Veritas, this is my little pitch for that, but I mean, this stuff works. It's a little, in my mind, they're sort of the Apple of furniture, right? You take it out of the box, and it works. You don't have to do a whole bunch to it to make it work. You can they've got this fun little video where they can put a complete office together in 5 minutes from people that aren't professional, because everything is a hand screw. And I've met and talked with their designers, and that's a big part of how they engineer it, right? And it comes out face down, so you just screw the legs in. You don't have to take it out of the box without screwing the legs in. So I say that because that fits the model that I want to do. I want to be able to put a table up or take a table down. The standing high meeting tables have wheels, so we can push them around where we need to. It's those little things that I'm looking at. Now, the biggest challenges, I think, is the typical infrastructure ones. How do you get electric to it, right? Because that's not exactly mobile. So I'm personally going to try, my next project at the site is going to be open ceiling, raised floor, because the raised floor allows me to move the data and electric wherever I need to. And then these demountable, I'm using demountable walls for offices. I couldn't get people to agree to the various walls because they don't go all the way up. I love them because now HVAC-wise, the air just flows and I don't have to do it. I'm not closing off the space, but can't quite get people there on the privacy side. So we're doing demountable walls, so we're actually putting some of those in on one of our floors. But I'm doing them on the inside instead of the exterior. So lots of exciting things happening, and clearly the most exciting is our stock is going up, and we'll find out if that trend is going to continue, because I think we're announcing earnings on Friday, so hopefully that process continues. But I appreciate the opportunity to share, and if anybody has any questions, I'll take those.
Any questions?
Say that I put you to sleep. Yes, ma'am.
So now that you're going to lose the open space to a call center, how do you plan to recreate that space?
Okay, so she asked if, as I'm losing the space to a call center, how do I plan to recreate it? So I sort of already started on the other side of the 2nd floor, another unused space. So I already created an open space. It's still got the old carpet, the old lighting, and some of that, but so we're actually kind of shifted down there, because what the other need that we found was there was need for event space. So we ripped out furniture on the other floor and already have been using it as event space and those temporary walls. It's not finished the way I want it to be, but that's where the casual seating is going to go, which in a way is good because now it's going to get people used to the fact that the second floor also has some of that creative space. Very good. I think we're good, Mike. Thanks.
Any more questions? Nope. Okay. Well, thank you, Will, so much.